My next guest is coming off his first UFC victory, getting it done over Fernie Garcia at UFC Vegas 65, November 19th. It's Brady Hiestand back here on the program. Brady, how are you, man?
Dude, I'm living the dream. Coming off my first UFC win, it feels surreal.
Yeah, have you been able to soak it in? I know when you have a big fight, and obviously you needed to win this one coming off the debut. Sometimes you're too focused on the result, but I'm sure you've had a few days now to kind of soak it in. How you feeling now?
Yeah, I feel great. Like I said, I'm happy with my performance. I know there's definitely a lot I wish I did and need to work on, and wish I capitalized on. But a win's a win, and it's my first fight in 16 months, so I'm happy it went my way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, every fighter is different when it comes to competing, and I know you did have a bit of a layoff coming in. You looked good in there. How did you feel, though, personally?
I felt great. Yeah, I felt like my cardio was on point. I didn't even sit down in between rounds. I just put my foot on the stool, and so my cardio was next level. Working with my strength conditioning coach Dylan Lemry, and just my team back home. It helps a little bit having both your ACLs, especially when you're used to having them. So that I felt good going into that fight week. I was able to train like I wanted to, prepare like I wanted to. I feel like I had a little bit of ring rust in that first round. Just wasn't ready. Obviously I almost got dropped all the way to the ground, so wasn't completely ready. But after getting hit, woke me up and got me fired up, and then I came back and rallied.
What were the nerves sort of going into this fight? I know everyone's sort of nervous going into every fight, but this one in particular, because it wasn't the debut. I know the debut is a bigger deal, obviously. How are you feeling sort of mentally going in?
I felt good. I felt like this was my debut because I felt like the last one was like kind of a wrap up of Tough, and it was
Yeah.
for the finale, and for a contract. So I felt like this one was where I finally get to start my UFC career, and I'm like, this is where I start, putting people on notice and making people, get to know what level of fighter I am.
Fernie's a pretty durable guy. We've seen that throughout his career. This fight did go the distance. Anything surprise you about him in the fight that maybe you weren't anticipating?
You know, Nothing really surprised me. I was shooting for the finish. I wanted to be the first guy to finish Fernie Garcia, and I was pretty confident I was able to. I think I expected when he got to those positions, like me on his back, he would try to get out a little bit more rather than just straight up defending. Which it is what it is. It like got him to the end of the fight, but he definitely lost. I was hoping he would make a little bit more, big movements, try to get out, try to win the fight, and then that's where I could capitalize on and throw in a submission. But no, I felt good. I was confident in my striking. Once I got into my rhythm, I felt like I controlled that, and then my wrestling and grappling, I just felt like domination.
Any concerns going to the judges' scorecards? Because you never know these days with judging. Were there any worries at all?
I think no. I thought they would give him the first round just because it's a knockdown or whatever. Even though I
Yeah.
felt like I dominated the whole round after that, but I was so confident I got the second two rounds. I feel like I beat him on the feet. I think I got better strikes off, and I dominated on the ground. So, I was confident going to the judges' scorecards.
So a lot, like I mentioned there, layoff coming in, you get the first UFC win. How do you celebrate after a big moment like that in your career?
Ooh, we went out, got some steak dinner with the family, had a few drinks, enjoyed it and lived it up. I cut weight for my fights. I eat really good. I'm 100% dialed in. So when I'm, after my fight, I go celebrate a little bit, have a few drinks, eat some good ass food,
That's
hang out
awesome.
with my family and friends. I had 20 people come down to Vegas for that fight. So
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. So I got to, live it up with them and party with my people.
That's great. Tell me it was a grass-fed steak. Grass-fed steaks, I think, are the best. I think I can definitely taste the difference.
For sure. We went to this steakhouse in Las Vegas called Barry's.
Okay.
Barry's. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it is nice. They do a lot of UFC fighters down there, and it was the best steak I've ever had. Tomahawk
Wow.
steak. They had
What an
sirloin steak.
endorsement. Okay, I'm gonna write that. I'm actually going to Vegas on Friday, believe it or not. Not work related, just I'm actually going to the Golden Knights game on Saturday. So I'll definitely keep that in mind because I listen. I'll pay the money for a good steak. I'm one of those people, like it's at the top of my list as far as food. So there we go.
Oh, for sure. And you're definitely gonna pay there, but I tell you what, you'd never find a better steak anywhere
But
else.
you know what I look at when it comes to stuff like that, and maybe we can talk about this here. But like when it comes to money with certain things, are you going to remember how much money you spent on the steak? Or are you going to remember how good the steak was? Right? That's how I kind of look at it.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Especially if you're celebrating something or you're going out of town on a trip. You gotta splurge. You gotta invest in yourself and kind of have a good time, right?
We mentioned there the Hiestand Army in full force. They're coming to the fights, but also I know Spokane in general. Like you guys have a really cool like fight community. There's not like a ton of fighters, in the UFC, but there's been some over the years. What's been the feedback like since getting that win? I'm sure Kiesa, all these other guys probably hitting you up and sending congratulations.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kiesa was in my corner, so definitely
Mhm.
was sent the congratulations. But yeah, Spokane's a small town, but we're a fight town. Like we've had guys, all the way back to Cody McKenzie. We have Sam Cecilia, Oscar Arnett, obviously Mike Julie, all those guys, and then obviously even at different gyms like Terrence McKinney and Saeed Yakubik, they both hit me up and said congratulations. And they're at different gyms, so at this point, we have enough fighters in the UFC where it's not Spokane versus Spokane. It's Spokane versus the rest of the world. So even though we're not all on the same team, we're all supporting each other.
I know Thanksgiving is this week. We'll talk about that in a sec, but when are you looking to get back in there? I know we're fresh off the win, but do you have sort of an ideal timeline on when you want to take that next fight?
Yeah, I have a 30-day suspension just because that's what the
Yeah.
doctor said, because it was a full fight. But, the worst injury I have is this busted lip, a little bit of a shiner right here, and a little bit of a cut on this lip too. But, that's the worst I have, so I'm ready to get back in there ASAP.
Okay. You kind of looking in the new year because obviously we got Thanksgiving this week. Christmas is coming up. I don't know. Like I think all the cards are filled up until I guess early next year. Is that kind of what you're looking at? Maybe something early
Yeah,
2023.
Yeah, probably early next year. Like I said, I'm ready to go. So if they have a short notice fallout, maybe I'll hop in on that.
Hmm.
If it makes sense. It's just the weight cut. It's just I got to make sure it's worth it if I'm going to do another weight cut,
Yeah.
this close to each other. But yeah, at least by the beginning of next year.
And the UFC's got to come to Seattle. I think we talked about this last time. Like they got the new
For real.
arena. Why are they not coming? Like it's to me, they haven't been to Seattle in forever, and it just seems like such a no brainer right now, especially with the new hockey team, right? So
I agree. Yeah, and we have so many fighters out of Washington, not just Spokane. I mean, we got
yeah.
what do we got? Like 5 fighters from Spokane alone. And then you got people from Portland and Washington. Like we got Journey Newson, Ricky Simone, Misha Tate's from Yakima. So we got a lot of big names up here. So might as well bring the UFC up here and we can sell out an arena or something like that.
But I am hearing rumors from through the grapevine they might be coming back to Vancouver, Canada, which isn't that far from you, right? Like, is that something that would interest you? Fighting somewhat close to home, it'd be a drive, right? Wouldn't be a flight.
Yeah, I would love that. I love these shorts. Even Vegas isn't that far because it's only a 2-hour flight. So I
Mhm.
don't mind that much. It makes the weight cut easier. It makes travel easier, and it makes it so Houston Army can come through.
Yeah. Who do you want to fight next? Is there any? I mean, again, first UFC win. I know you're just sort of getting your UFC career started, but are there any kind of matchups you think would be fun? Like, you're not necessarily calling anyone out, but if you looked at the rankings, you're like, hey, that would be a fun fight.
Yeah, I'm looking at, I obviously look at all the fighters on my card, and so I would honestly fight any of the guys that won their fights. Miles would be a good one, and I can't remember his name, but he just lost to Ricky. I would be interested in that
Oh,
fight.
Jack Shore.
No, Ricky Tercios.
Who did he just fight? Kevin Natividad. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So one of those
Yeah.
guys, or Firas Hobby's little brother.
Oh,
Maybe I
Eamon
fight
Zahabi.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I fight him up in Canada. But yeah, I'm looking. There's so many fighters at 135 that I would be interested in. I need to go back and sit down and kind of talk to my coaches, and then we can reach out to my manager and really start calling people out.
Thanksgiving. What's on the docket this week? What are you getting up to? Going to different family spots. Like I'm sure you got the whole thing mapped out right now. It must be nice too, coming off that win, and then you get Thanksgiving this week. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, it doesn't, especially because I've missed Thanksgiving for the past 5 years. And so this is literally, I've been looking forward. This was one of my favorite times getting ready for a fight because I know right after I get to go eat a bunch of Thanksgiving food. Um, all my family's coming out to my mom's, on the ranch. So we're going to have big family Thanksgiving. And actually something that's funny is me and my friends, I got like 5, 6 friends from high school. We all hang out and we literally try to hit everyone's Thanksgiving.
Oh,
And so,
cool. So like
yeah,
a bar hop, but Thanksgiving style.
exactly. So like some of my friends have their like early morning Thanksgiving, mine's at 2. There's some that are later, and we'll just like go and eat food at every single one. Just go and mow down every Thanksgiving. It's gonna be awesome.
And it must be so much easier from like a conversation standpoint now that you're like a mainstay in the UFC. You've got the first UFC win. Because I'm sure before it's like, well, yeah, I train MMA, I'm doing MMA, but I'm not in the UFC. I'm hoping to get there. You know, it's that kind of awkward conversation because people immediately think UFC when they think full contact, but they don't know
Yeah.
that obviously there's other promotions, right? So from that standpoint, it must be a lot better for you, right?
Oh, for sure. It's the dream to be in the UFC,
Yeah.
like especially since I've been like 14, I've been talking about how I'm gonna be in the UFC, and some people are like, oh, okay, Brady, that's whatever. The fact that I'm finally here, I'm like, suck it, motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I love it. Hey, Brady, have a great week. Looking forward to the next fight. Again, congrats on the win. If there's anyone you'd like to thank before you get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, awesome. I want to thank my team, Rick Little, Mike Hieasta, Ashton, Dylan Lemery. Thank you guys for always supporting me and my family back home. I also want to say thank you to Solgen Power. If you ever want solar panels on your house, go check out Solgen Power. They'll hook you up. Just use my code Brady Hiestand.